Our guest tonight is Ring of Honor World Champion Adam Cole. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys? Good to be on the program today.
We are very excited to have you. Well, listen, at Death Before Dishonor, you were able to capture the Ring of Honor World title for the second time. When we spoke to you last, you were coming off an injury that left you sidelined for several months. What was the journey from injury to champion-like mentally? And now that you have the gold, was all the pain and sacrifice along the way worth it?
Well, to answer the second part of your question first, absolutely everything was worth it. I know this is a cliche answer that a lot of wrestlers give, but it's the truth for a lot of us, is I eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling. When I'm not around wrestling, I don't know what to do with myself. I love the entire environment. I love the travel. I love the crowd. I love the performance, everything. So I couldn't wait when I was injured to get back and push myself to the point of getting in this role of becoming world champion again. But it certainly was a mentally and physically hard road, coming back from the 3 surgeries on my left arm. Even more recently, a couple of months ago, a bout with pneumonia that I had where I lost 17.5 pounds. It was tough, but being able to stand in that ring in Vegas and say that I've become Ring of Honor World Champion for a second time, getting a second chance with to be the most prestigious title in pro wrestling is really cool, because when you look at the list of Ring of Honor champions, that list is very, very thin, and it's filled with some of the best wrestlers in the world. The list of guys who have held the title more than once is even smaller. I'm the third guy in history to do that, so it's pretty awesome. Really, really surreal.
Mike Chiari?
Jay Lethal had one of the greatest ROH World Championship reigns in history. He held the title for over 400 days, added even more prestige to the title in the process. What does it mean to you for ROH to handpick you as the guy to end that run? And then how do you go about building on that and maintaining all the momentum that Jay created?
Sure. First of all, I just want to agree with what you said. To me, Jay Lethal is by far one of the best wrestlers in the world. Anyone who's seen Jay work, anyone who's seen Jay talk, knows how talented he is. And the run that he was able to have, like you said, just completely elevated the championship even more. And everyone knows how prestigious the Ring of Honor title is. But for me to be picked as the guy to dethrone Jay just motivated me a ton, especially going forward with, a couple of months before this, I was handpicked by New Japan Pro Wrestling to be a new feature member of the Bullet Club. And then to have Ring of Honor say, okay, you're going to be the guy to be the ROH World Champion. To me, this is that pressure that I've been looking for and that I thrive on. I felt back in 2013 when I was the Ring of Honor World Champion and the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla World Champion at the same time. The advantage to this is that this pressure that I feel is something I'm a lot more prepared to handle. I feel, when I was 23, it was a lot for me to process, having that responsibility of being the guy in Ring of Honor. So time with me being the guy to dethrone Jay, and I know how good of a run Jay Lethal had, I definitely feel the pressure, and I feel all of it, but I feel prepared. I'm more confident this time around. And seeing the places that the company has gone, being able to be at the forefront of that, and for Ring of Honor to think that I'm the guy that should lead the charge is very, very cool. And it's something, like I said, that I'm ready for.
PG?
Well, you're one of our personal favorites, and it's so exciting to see you win the ROH Championship again. How does your state of mind change now that you're a defending champion compared to when you're chasing for the championship?
Yeah, it's much different, and not even with your own mindset, but the audience's perception of you. I think that's the biggest thing that I notice is, lots of times when you are champion, you have to work twice as hard to make sure that everyone's invested in you and it's going along with your stories. When you're not champion, everyone's rooting for the challenger. Everyone wants the guy who's challenging for the title to be the guy who takes the title, wins the title for the first time or whatever. So when you're in the championship role, you have so many different opponents, so many different styles that you have to adapt to and prepare for. The schedule gets a lot busier, and that goes for wrestling and for media. So the different mindset really is just preparing as much as you can for as many different obstacles and opportunities that are thrown your way, because anything and everything will be thrown your way when you're the Ring of Honor World Champion. I know this from the first time around. The company has grown, the championship has grown, our roster has grown even more this second time around, with the New Japan and CMLL relationship. So yeah, a lot of high pressure situations for sure when you are the champion and you are the guy who's carrying the ball.
Well, as big as your championship win was for your career, you also made major headlines by taking over as the leader of the Bullet Club. How did that idea come to fruition, and what has it done for your notoriety since taking the lead for the faction?
Well, New Japan Pro Wrestling had been toying with the idea of bringing me in and doing something with me for a long time. A lot of people were questioning why I wasn't in New Japan earlier. I did one show for them back in 2014, and then with the combination of scheduling conflicts that I had with needing to be on Ring of Honor shows, or with injuries or things like that, it was just a situation where New Japan was kind of waiting to give me something to dig my teeth into. And then this Bullet Club opportunity came up, and they said, okay, this is going to be it. So to get to do that on pay-per-view in Chicago as a surprise was really, really cool, especially at the time I was off of Ring of Honor shows for about a month, so a lot of people were questioning where I was going to end up or what my future held. So to be able to come out and actually surprise everyone and join the Bullet Club was really cool. But again, going off of the second part of that question, being a part of the Bullet Club is probably one of the biggest things I've done in my wrestling career, just for how impactful the Bullet Club is. I mean, I think it's fair to say that the Bullet Club has been the most impactful wrestling faction in years. I mean, you see its influence in Ring of Honor, obviously in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You see it in the WWE. They can call it something different, but it's the same thing. You see it everywhere. The Bullet Club is everywhere. So it's funny, the big moniker of the Bullet Club is that, we're taking over the world. And I think it's safe to say that we're doing that. So to get to be a part of that and in a forefront role, not only as a leader but as Ring of Honor World Champion, just further puts the ball in the court of the Bullet Club.
Mike Yoy?
Well, the Bullet Club's always had strong leaders with guys like Finn Balor, like AJ Styles, but those guys made huge names for themselves before being part of the group, much like yourself. Even though you don't necessarily need the Bullet Club, obviously, to be at the top, how has being in that leadership role in the biggest stable in wrestling helped you grow personally as a performer?
Oh, well, I think the biggest thing is who I'm surrounded with. Like when I look at Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, just to name a couple of guys in the Bullet Club, to me, these are some of the best performers in the world. So I'm now forced to be surrounded, which I love, by the way, but forced to be surrounded by some of the best wrestlers in the world who bring out the best in each other. I like to think that I bring a special spark out of the Young Bucks that they don't normally have, and Kenny Omega brings something out of me that I don't normally have. I think that's why the Bullet Club thrives so well, is because everyone in that group, we are genuinely friends behind the curtain. We all share the exact same passion for pro wrestling, and we all want to push the envelope and go as far with this thing as we can. So that's the biggest thing for me that I take away from being in a group like this, is the fact that I'm surrounded by these guys, these really talented guys, that just pushes us to change and be different and evolve and just bring the best out in one another. And I think that really shows.
PG?
Well, we're excited about the possibility of Kyle O'Reilly potentially challenging you for the ROH Championship. You two have a storied history, and every time you're in the ring together, it's special. We routinely mention your classic match from Best in the World in 2012, and you also put on an incredible match at last year's Final Battle. Could you explain what your relationship and chemistry is like with him?
Yeah, that's one of those things that you couldn't plan if you tried. Like, me and Kyle O'Reilly met in 2009. We wrestled a pre-show match for Gabe Sapolsky, Dragon Gate USA, and we wrestled each other and met for the first time in the ECW arena. And we just had a match that just clicked. And I remember thinking when we wrestled each other, like, oh, we're going to be opponents for a long time. And then we both ended up getting signed simultaneously by Ring of Honor, and they didn't know what to do with us, so they threw us together as a tag team, and then we found out we had great chemistry as a tag team. Kyle O'Reilly's a guy, it's funny because a big trend right now in wrestling is to say stuff like, those guys are going to fight forever, or they're destined to do it forever, and I think that's the case with me and Kyle. You could arguably say that across my career that I've had, my 8-year career thus far, that Kyle has been my greatest opponent. He's certainly been my greatest tag team partner. Kyle is a guy that brings out the best in me, kind of like I was saying earlier about the Bullet Club, and I bring out the best in Kyle. So every single time whether it's teaming together, which I don't think we'll be doing very much of anymore, and fighting each other, we bring out the very best in one another, and we want to prove to each other who the better man is, and in turn that creates magic. So Kyle O'Reilly is probably my greatest opponent.
Well, the All-Star Extravaganza pay-per-view is scheduled for September 30th, and you will be facing off against IWGP Intercontinental Champion Michael Elgin. What are your thoughts on Elgin's recent success in New Japan, and how do you see this matchup unfolding?
Well, Michael Elgin, again, is a guy that took an opportunity and made the absolute most of it. At the time, Michael Elgin for years had been saying that he wanted to be a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. All he wanted was a shot, and he was going to prove to the world how good he was. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, he's the IWGP Intercontinental Champion for a reason. He's one of the best wrestlers, not only in New Japan, but in the world. And that's why this match is so appealing to a lot of people as far as myself versus Michael Elgin for the ROH World title at All-Star Extravaganza. Again, me and Michael have a very, very storied history together. The first time I won the Ring of Honor World Championship, it was against Michael Elgin in the finals of a tournament. The guy I lost to with my first Ring of Honor World Championship reign was Michael Elgin. So to me, starting off my title reign with a huge title defense against Elgin on pay-per-view is a perfect way for me to right a wrong, a perfect way for me to beat the guy who beat me in my first title reign, so then I can move on and focus on other things. But I can guarantee you this, me and Michael will have a battle, we'll have a war that people are going to be talking about for a long time, because anytime you're in the ring with Michael Elgin, he brings his A game. So I'm going to bring my A-plus game.
Mike Chiari?
Well, a lot's changed for you, and a lot's obviously happened during your career since that first run as ROH World Champion. What did you learn, though, the first time around that you think is going to help you in your second reign? And then how do you go about differentiating this reign from the first one and ensuring that it feels fresh for the fans?
Sure. I think the biggest thing, and I kind of briefly talked about this, but I just want to reiterate it because to me it is the most important thing, is just being comfortable with the pressure. I have a lot more confidence this second time around. Again, I was a kid when I was the ROH World Champion for the first time. Since then, I've gotten to travel all over the world. I've wrestled in pay-per-view main events, television main events, and I've been put in so many high-pressure situations that time around with the ROH World title, I'm not freaking out. I'm not losing my mind. I'm excited and I'm ecstatic, and I'm ready to show the world that I deserve to be the ROH World Champion, but I'm ready for it, mentally, physically, all that stuff. And the biggest thing as far as the change is, now that I'm with the Bullet Club and now that I've established myself as a mainstay guy here in Ring of Honor, whereas the first time I was ROH World Champion, I was so focused on proving myself and making a name for myself. I've established who I am and what I bring to the table with this ROH Championship run. I think you'll see a lot of differences because of stuff going on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm sure you'll see me in CMLL this year. And our roster has changed so much from that first time I was ROH World Champion. So I have different opponents, which in turn means totally different matches. But again, associating myself with the Bullet Club will create a much different environment for me and a much different strategy for me going forward.
BG, final question?
Well, now that you're a two-time ROH champion, are there any other goals or accomplishments you're looking to achieve on the indie circuit?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I wouldn't say it's an independent goal because New Japan is such a large company, but I really want to have a great run in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Ever since this relationship started, New Japan was always a company that I wanted to be a part of. And to me, it's excellent that this relationship has started, because now that I've joined the Bullet Club, I have such a great fresh start over there with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm going to be going there pretty consistently for the remainder of the year, hopefully more so in 2017. But my biggest goal, obviously, other than having the best Ring of Honor World Championship reign that I can, it's also making a name for myself and establishing myself over at New Japan Pro Wrestling. Because to me, the two greatest companies in the world, Ring of Honor and New Japan, if I can stake my claim and make my name for myself in both places, that's the ultimate goal. So that's the goal for me going forward.
A huge thank you to our guest, Ring of Honor World Champion Adam Cole. Catch him stealing the show each week on ROH TV. Tell the fans where they can support you and Ring of Honor.
Yes, I have a Twitter, Adam Cole Pro, Instagram, Adam Cole Pro, and a website, you guessed it, AdamColePro.com. That's where you can check out my schedule. There's some T-shirts and things like that on there. And then obviously, most importantly, ROHWrestling.com. You can see when Ring of Honor's coming to town. We got a lot of cool T-shirts from a bunch of different guys, tickets, schedules, really cool stories and videos, all that jazz. So make sure you check out ROHWrestling.com for more info on me.
Another huge thank you to Adam Cole. We appreciate the time, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.